Do you believe that the leadership team you have today will take you to where you want to be 1 year from now? Well, the answer is always no. The skills necessary for an entrepreneur are very different than the skills necessary for a CEO. You got to be a pretty big company to be able to afford and attract a professional CEO to come and run your lemonade stand. You're not doing it when it's a lemonade stand. You're probably not even doing it when it's a lemonade franchise.
Do you believe that there is a specific point in an entrepreneur's journey when he needs to step down as the founder and he needs to hire a CEO to run his company?
How you recognize that someone is a player? Hello and welcome back to another Business Talks podcast episode, and today we have a very special guest. In our company is the CEO and the founder of CEO Coaching International, Mr. Mark Moses. Thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
So you have 20 billion exits to startups in America and the US, and also you have sell your companies to Fortune 50, 100 companies, big, huge companies in US. So what do you think is the key of success? And how do you accomplish to do such things?
Hire the best people, period. Hire the absolute best. And what I've learned in 16 years of coaching, the companies that far outperform the others are those that have the courage to go out and get the best leaders on their team to drive the growth of their business.
Do you have the same opinion even for the companies that they're just starting right now?
Well, that's why I asked you with context, because
Yes.
a startup is very different than a company that's on its journey of growth.
But if you believe that HR is the solution that in general drives business success, then maybe it's also the solution for a business that's just starting right now. Maybe it's not the solution to hire cheap talent just to do the work and focus more on biggest professionals, you know?
Well, the difficulty with that is the obvious difficulty,
Which
which
is
is
payroll.
how do I pay for them?
Yeah.
Right? Because a startup typically starts with, I got a great idea. I may have worked somewhere else before. I was discontent with the way it was going. I thought I could do better myself. So I left to start my own business. And that's the typical reason why somebody leaves. They're passionate about whatever their idea is. They feel they could do it better, and they leave to start their own business. Now, most of these businesses don't have a lot of money to get started. And the entrepreneur is the one that's doing most of the work, maybe even developing the product or service in the beginning, also putting in 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, passionately thinking about their business. They're the chief salesperson of the business. They're taking care of the books. They're doing all the jobs in the beginning as a founder.
You're doing an amazing job by providing training, and you're accelerating CEOs at the moment. And you have a very good track record of doing this. Do you believe that someone can be a high performer CEO only if they're an actual CEO, like they have an already established company, or they can start doing this even if they are a one single founder, a one person business that they start and they want to start growing it?
I think to be a successful, we're swinging back and forth to two buckets, right? And the buckets are different. An entrepreneur is a strange animal. The entrepreneur is somebody that's very passionate about building their business. And so they have an idea, it's a product, it's a service, and they just have an incredible drive to have their own business and make it successful. And they're willing to work as hard as it takes to win. And so do I believe that's the skills necessary for an entrepreneur are very different than the skills necessary for a CEO, because the entrepreneur is willing to do what it takes, willing to be super creative an incredible amount of grit to win as an entrepreneur, whereas the CEO, you can hire a CEO later once your business gets established, and that may be a professional CEO with tremendous skills and talent to drive the future growth of the business, because there's a lot of entrepreneurs that can only get the business so far before they bring in talent to take it further on its journey.
An entrepreneur must have some CEO qualities, but the CEO doesn't absolutely must be an entrepreneur as well.
Yeah, agreed. Most hired CEOs are not entrepreneurs. Take the organization YPO, Young
There are very
Presidents.
good executives that they are executing in a high level.
Hey, for sure. The like at my firm, we hire the retired CEOs from companies like Procter & Gamble, Samsung, Goodyear, Home Depot, Under Armour, Xerox, Tektronix, Kohler, and lots of entrepreneurs that have built successful businesses from $100 million to $1 billion. And can they, if you ask them today to go and start their own business again at 60 years old, they would say, no way. No way. It's the first 3 years on the entrepreneurial journey in a startup are terrible. They're challenging. You don't have any money. You're making stuff up as you go. You're not sure if it's going to work. You're hoping, and you are just working hard as an entrepreneur. Clear determination to win.
But do you believe that CEOs that used to be entrepreneurs have a higher chance of being successful?
CEOs that used to be entrepreneurs, I am not sure that the qualities of an entrepreneur ensure that you are a great CEO. I think it's different, because I also believe in business, think about 0 to 3 million. I think that is a very difficult stage, because it's the idea creation, it's the launch, it's not having any money, it's having whatever people you can convince to come to your startup to get going. The next stage of a business is 3 million to 10 million. Well, that stage is a little bit easier than the 0 to 3, but still very hard, because now you're going, in order for me to get from 3 to 10, I got to make decisions over who I bring on that will take me from 3 to 10. I now need to hire better people that have been there, done that before. Let's take 0 to 3. The founder or entrepreneur might be the only salesperson in the organization at that time, or maybe they have a couple of people, but sales are generally led by the founders' passion, vision, and grit. And then in the next stage, when they're bringing on talent, they got to inspire the talent. They got to pay for the talent. They got to align this talent with their interests. And so how do they pay somebody when they're just at 3 million? You're barely making enough money to pay yourself, if you're paying yourself. And then you got choices to make. Do I pay myself? Do I make my mortgage payments? Do I make the choice to pay for talent? And if I have to find really good talent, I don't know where to find it, can I afford to go to a search firm or a headhunter and am I willing to pay that fee to them to do that? And it's a real conundrum going from 3 to 10. If you look at Entrepreneurs Organization as an example, for many in Entrepreneurs Organization, they have a very difficult time getting beyond 3 million. And so there's a very large number. It's been as high as 50% of the people that, in terms of the median revenue, is under 3.5 million, because it's challenging to break through that, because it's all about people and money to get the people. And then once you have the people, then, well, they need money to market and they need money to hire more people. So it's that it's that debate over money. Once you get to 10 million, now you can arguably afford to hire better talent because now you're making some money. And if on the journey from 10 to 50 million or 10 to 100 million, it's the people that are going to drive that. And that's how we got on the topic of people. Was, I believe, 16 years of coaching top entrepreneurs and CEOs. Those that have the best talent outperform those that don't. And the people that get you from A to B are not the same people that'll take you from B to C and C to D. And some of the clients that we've coached, we have changed out the leadership team 3, 4, and even in some roles 5 times over the year, from a small business at under 10 million on its road to $1 billion in revenue.
Mark, from your experience, do you believe that there is a specific point in an entrepreneur's journey when he needs to step down as the founder and he needs to hire a CEO to run his company as the only way of actual business growth?
I was asked the same question yesterday, and I was having a debate with the publication that was asking me this question yesterday. It's, as the entrepreneur, you got a lot of yourself tied up in what it is that you do. So a lot of entrepreneurs don't step aside for quite a long time. And I don't know that there's a right answer or a wrong answer. And I find the question difficult because I've been an entrepreneur all my life. I've never had a real job. And all my friends are entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs go on and lead their business. It's not till much, much later that they'll make a decision to maybe bring on a CEO. But it's interesting for a small market here, or a smaller market like Greece, that in the last 15 hours, I've been asked this question 2 times. And I think generally the answer is no. I don't think so. Because by the time, you got to be a pretty big company to be able to afford and attract a professional CEO. What level of revenue and profit does one need to be able to attract a world-class former CEO to come and run your lemonade stand? Well, you're not doing it when it's a lemonade stand. You're probably not even doing it when it's a lemonade franchise. It's got to be, you got to have a big...
it has to be a lemonade building.
Yeah, for sure, right? It's just so that question is interesting. I would reframe it this. You need a top COO, somebody to run the store, run the operations. You need a top head of sales. And I would say that one of the sins of sales and sales leadership is that the CEO is the top salesperson. The CEO is the head of sales. I think these are 2 major sins of sales leadership. Is a firm needs a world-class head of sales, a world-class COO, a world-class CFO. Somebody's got to watch the numbers and watch the cash in order to scale the business. So more so than the CEO, because I don't want to say I'm frustrated by the question, but I think we're asking the wrong question. Because the answer is, an entrepreneurial firm will not be able to attract a CEO until way later in its journey. The entrepreneur needs to think about attracting top talent in everywhere in their leadership team. Now, let me go on a rant. When I ask CEOs of mid-size businesses, we'll call mid-size 20 million to $1 billion, would everybody in the room rate everyone on their leadership team an A, as in an A, B, or C? Hardly anybody would say yes. Hardly anybody. I then ask them, given the choice, would you enthusiastically rehire everybody on your leadership team today? Yes or no? Well, the answer is always no. Do you believe that the leadership team you have today will take you to where you want to be 1 year from now? And the answer is usually no. How about 3 years from now? And the answer is no. But they're still employed at the firm. So why are they still there?
It's because through emotional connection.
That's in part.
Through the building.
So you've been here since the beginning.
Yeah.
So because you've been here in the beginning, I feel like I owe you.
Or I have to reward you.
Yes.
For your loyalty, for the resource you gave us.
Yeah, I have to reward you and I have to be loyal. And what is everybody else on the team going to think of me if I am not loyal back to you? Am I the next one to go? Also, you may be great to a certain point. And then I need to think about if I'm now at 5 million and I want to go to 50 million. Well, you may never been down that road before. I'm old now and I'm tired. And so if I do it all over again, I would hire somebody that's already been to 50 or 100 million, put them on my team. You got us to 5 million. I'd have you work for them. That doesn't mean you need to go away. I have you work for them. And now you're going to continue to grow and they're going to help you grow and become a better leader. And you'll be more valuable to yourself and to the organization by growing up under them. I also want to say that the longest time in a leader's life is the time they lose confidence in someone and the time they do something about it. And when in doubt, there is no doubt. And how one does and shows up some of the time is how one shows up most of the time. And the only way to deliver to the people achieving is not to burden them with the people that aren't achieving. A players want to work with A players. And in order to attract more A players, you can't saddle them with B and C players because A players don't want to work with B and C players.
So you believe in the motto of fire fast and hire fast?
I believe in hire slowly and fire quickly. And I say slowly by make sure you're doing your due diligence. So you asked a question, so now let me be very vulnerable and transparent. I just went through a process over the last many months. I hired the top search firm in the world to find a CEO for my firm. And I felt at my firm that there is now, after 16 years, in order to 10x where we are today, and we're already the largest in the world at coaching individual CEOs. And but I felt there's somebody better than me that could take it to the next level, to 10x where we are today. And so I did a proper search. I spent $250,000 with a global search firm that would find somebody world-class to lead my organization to the next level of growth. And that's a big decision to entrust somebody else.
Your baby.
My baby of 16 years. And trust that they're going to do it and respect that they're going to do it different than me. And I have to be okay with different. And I have to agree on what the vision is, but let them execute the vision and step aside. And
also learn alongside the company.
Well, my job for the first 6 to 12 months is to provide the institutional knowledge, everything that I've learned, and coach him to help him be successful. So I'm very energized by this big move that I've been thinking about for 3 years now. And now I've done it. And I'm hopeful I made the right decision. I did 11 reference checks on this person. It's more than I've ever done in my life. I don't know anybody I know that's done 11 reference checks. That's a lot.
It was a big decision.
Big decision for me. And it's important also I'm very proud of what we do and the impact that we have on CEOs and leaders around the world. And I don't want to make a mistake. I want to get this right.
Which is the bigger difference between an average CEO and the high-performance CEO, or how you recognize that someone is a player?
It's a good question. So there are two questions in there. You got a high-performance CEO, and how do you recognize that somebody's an A player. I'd like to take those separately. How do you recognize somebody's an A player? It's, I want to go back and I don't want you to tell me what you did. I want you to prove to me that you've already done it. So I need to validate that you've been down that road and done it. Now, could you be an A player and just sheer effort and grit and still be an A player? Yes, you could. If I am hiring somebody today, I want somebody that proven they've done it somewhere else successfully, and then they're very passionate about doing it here. And I feel that their values fit with my organization and live the values that we have. The issue of the top performing CEO is, it's a different question. How do you know? And how do you know they're going to be successful in your organization? I don't know that you do. I think you need to ensure that you both have the same dreams and the same vision for the company. So you need a buy-in and alignment around the vision. You have to ensure that you're aligned with the values of the organization and that you're absolutely passionate about what it is that you want to do. Because if you're not aligned and you don't believe in the values of the firm, it's never going to work.
So if we have a person that wants to be a high performer CEO, which is the process that he have to do to be this type of CEO? It's someone that is in our age, it's 25 years old, and he has a dream to be a high performer CEO. Which is the educational process to help him be this type of CEO?
Well, it's interesting. You guys look young, so you guys look like you're in your 20s. So I would use the word entrepreneur at that age, because in the beginning, you're not really a CEO. You wear all the hats. So you got a dream. And so I would call you an entrepreneur. What you need to succeed as an entrepreneur is passion, grit, determination, never quit, and a strong, strong desire to win, no matter how difficult it gets. That's what I believe what it takes to succeed as an entrepreneur. At what point does an entrepreneur become a CEO? That's a great question.
Philosophical one, maybe.
It is, because I don't know that I could quantify it. At some point, when the business is established enough and you got a leadership team to lead, I think then you graduate from the entrepreneur to the CEO. My business today, and we employ 60 former CEOs as coaches, and I feel that that we finally reached the place where I've moved from entrepreneur to CEO.
We have to take a break for that. We have to take a coffee break. First for this
I like this moment for the intro.
Rating.
Oh, it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Strong.
He tastes for the first time Freddo Espresso.
Earlier, we were talking about people and hiring top talent, and we went through those series of questions. Mm-hmm. Would you enthusiastically hire them again? Do you believe they'll take you where you want to be a year from now, 3 years? Have you lost confidence? Do you have doubt? And all that. And then if you ask people, how many people have they fired too soon? Too soon. The answer is always 0. So as they think about this very difficult decision for 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and nobody's ever fired anybody too soon. Going back to, if you're feeling it, they're feeling it, and everybody in the organization typically says, what took you so long? Everybody knew but you.
Which is something hard for someone to actually take it and actually understand it and actually execute it. But what do you think is the process for someone to actually make it faster than he should do it?
I'd like to say, just put your big boy pants on and do what you need to do.
Yeah.
And you know what makes it easier is you can't move everybody out all at once. Pick the one area where you are the weakest in the company. Start there. And what do most companies need? They need more revenue. And so make sure that your sales team and sales leadership is awesome. That's how you're going to grow your business. Now, you asked me at the beginning of our interview today, what do I see as some of the things that really drive growth? And I'd like to give you 4 things, and we've only talked about one of them today. The CEOs and entrepreneurs that execute better than all the rest, they think big. They think real big. And you get to choose how big you really want to think. And in a small market here like Greece, people might think only domestically and think smaller. I could never do that because
excuse.
yeah, because of all kinds of reasons. It's a small market. It's people around me will think that if I grow too big, maybe I'm doing something wrong to be that successful. And but my coaching of entrepreneurs and CEOs is dream as big as you can dream and then dream even bigger. Look at Elon Musk as an example. How many industries has he created? And he carries on continuing to create. Everybody told him it's not possible, not possible. And if you read his book, the new book that Walter Isaacson wrote, everything was about faster, cheaper, better. And he just keeps pushing people farther than they could ever thought they could be pushed. Amazing. Look at Steve Jobs or Zuckerberg or any of these entrepreneurs. Nobody told them how big they could think. They just went for it. So the most successful entrepreneurs, CEOs I know are those that are willing to truly, truly think big. I'll tell you, I'll give you a couple of examples. I met these young kids at 28 years old. They had a $6 million business, and they said, hey, I'd like you to coach us and help us build a $1 billion business. Oh, no. There's a few stops along the way before $1 billion. Last year, they did $950 million and $220 million of profit. And then that's 10 years later. They're 38 years old now. Another guy was 34 years old when I met him. He was 70 million in revenue, and he was losing $8.5 million a year. The bank had called his line of credit. He was going out of business in 60 days. And he says to me, I'd like you to help me build $1 billion business. I'm going, how about I help you survive first, and then we can talk about $1 billion. We set a goal to do $1 billion over 10 years. We did it 5 years early. Today, 12 years since I met him, he's doing $3.2 billion in revenue and $340 million of profit. Sarah Dusick had a business called Under Canvas. They did something called glamping, which is like fancy camping.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a new term.
Interesting.
Yeah, glamping, right?
Yeah.
I could get her to come in. We can have her on your show. You'll love her. She's amazing, amazing woman. She dreamed that she could build a business that she could sell one day for $100 million. A camping, even if it's fancy camping business, for $100 million. And that's exactly what she did. She sold her business to private equity for $100 million. Rick Stern, a YPOer from Chicago, reached out to me and said, hey, I just want to be a better CEO. Help me be a better CEO. Over a 10-year period, we grew his business from 40 million in revenue and 4 million in profit to 181 million in revenue and 49 million in profit, and sold the business for $720 million a couple years ago. 2 young kids were working at a home healthcare company as employees, David Allerby and Ryan Iwamoto. These guys are from Santa Monica, California. And they just thought they could do better if they had their own business. So these guys started their own business. And they built it into a $180 million business and sold it for 9 figures, over $100 million. And they rolled back some of the equity with the private equity firm. And now they have new dreams to go to $1 billion. Amazing. They just believe that anything is possible. And for me, I learned that from, I've done 12 Ironmans. And an Ironman is you swim 2.4 miles. That's almost 4 kilometers. Then you ride 180 kilometers on your bike, and then you run a 42-kilometer marathon all in the same day. And
Very hard.
Ironman taught me anything is possible. I've done the World Championship in Hawaii 5 times. And you can look at me and you can say, well, he doesn't look like a guy that could do the Hawaii Ironman 5 times. But I just believed that I could. So the point one that I'm trying to make is those that far exceed the performance of all the others, they think big and believe it's possible, despite what anybody thinks. The second point is this: determine what are the leading activities that will drive the outcome that you want. So if I ask a group of CEOs the following, what's success 3 years from now? Some of them may know, some of them may not. If I ask them this question, what is the number one and two specific and measurable activities you will keep score on every week, every month, every quarter that will drive the outcome that you want? Most people will give me an outcome as opposed to the activity that will drive that outcome. I'll give you an example. This one guy said, I would like to do $70 million in new business next year. I said, what's a specific and measurable activity that's going to drive that outcome? He says, prospect meetings. I said, how many? He says, 400. If I do 400 prospect meetings, I will achieve my goal of $70 million in new business. Well, is prospect meetings an activity or is it an outcome? Well, that's a good question. It is an activity, but once I've done them, it's an outcome. But it's not the root activity. How do we get 400 prospect meetings? What's a specific and measurable activity that's going to drive that outcome? He says, good question. 2,000 people attend my seminars. I go, 2,000 people, 20% of them turn into prospect meetings? Yeah, okay, I can see that. But how do we get 2,000 people to come listen to you? He said, 21,000 phone calls to people that work at engineering firms. That's how we do it. So if we make the calls, 21,000, our data says we'll be able to get 2,000 people to come to our seminars. If we get 2,000 people to come to our seminars, we'll get 400 prospect meetings. 400 prospect meetings will lead to $70 million in new business. Well, we were wrong. He did $84 million in new business that year. So the key point number 2 is the firms that are able to determine the specific and measurable activities that they will keep score on, that will drive the outcome that they want, will achieve the outcome that they want. In this case, it was 21,000 phone calls. That was the root activity.
It was basically reverse engineering from the original goal.
Absolutely. Totally reverse engineered. And in every business, one needs to reverse engineer. What do you really want? What's success for you 3 years from now? What's success a year from now? What's success a quarter from now? A month from now? A week from now? What's success today? How do I win today? The third point we've already talked about is hire the absolute best people. And the fourth point is accountability systems. What is your process to hold yourself accountable to achieve the outcome that you really want? We had a bunch of CEOs from Greece with us last night, and we were talking about this exact issue. There aren't hundreds of best practice ways to run a business. There are few best ways and best practices to run a business. And I believe that one of the best practices that every firm must follow, and we talked about this in my second book, Making Big Happen, was every quarter you get together with your leadership team and you do the following. What went right this quarter? What went wrong this quarter? What did we learn this quarter so we don't make the same mistakes again and again? How did we do compared to how we said we would do on our goals and the activities we said would drive the outcome that we wanted? Where do we want to be by the end of next quarter? What are the specific and measurable activities we're going to keep score on that'll drive the outcome that we want. Who owns what by when? That's pretty specific methodology in terms of those that follow that process. And all four of these, they think big, they determine the leading activities they'll keep score on, hire the absolute best people, and have a quarterly rhythm of accountability with their leadership team are those that far outperform all the other companies. I've coached thousands of CEOs, and our firm has done that. And those that far outperform are those that follow those four principles.
So let's go back to the entrepreneurs and startuppers. How you know that it's the right time to sell your company, to make the exit?
How do you know it's the right time? My business coach used to tell me, when's the best time to sell your business? Mm-hmm. He said before midnight, because nothing ever good happens after midnight. So what do I mean by that is sell it when it looks like the journey can never end. Leave a little room for the next guy to be inspired by what's left. If you try to sell it once you've plateaued or on the downturn, now you're going to take a hit in valuation. So we have sold at our firm, 83 of our clients have sold for over $20 billion. And what I've learned from that experience, that's not a small number. 20 billion is an incredibly, to me, it's a very big number. And when's the best time to sell? The best time to sell is when you feel like it could go on forever. You want a liquidity event for whatever your own reasons are that you want a liquidity event. You may be tired and you want to do something else and enjoy the rest of your life. You may want to bring in a partner that can really help you take the business far beyond where it is today. I think those are some of the best times to sell your business. I'll give you the example that the kids that went from 6 million to 950 million, along the way, we sold 60% of it to Blackstone at a $525 million valuation. So now they had liquidity, and they had liquidity for themselves personally, liquidity for the business, and they felt they could take more risk then because they had a big partner and they had liquidity. They then took it public on the NASDAQ and closed opening day at a valuation of over $3 billion. And the company's still running, and I'm sure at some point there'll be another transaction because after a while, Blackstone, the private equity firm, I'm sure will want some liquidity at some point. So at some point, they've been in the deal now, I think 4 years. So at some point soon, I think there could be a transaction again.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So if a company has like 2 or 3 co-founders and one of them wants to sell, the other 2 don't want to sell the company, how would you advise them to
oh man, that's such a good question. I have negotiated 9 partner, let's call it divorces, where one partner wants to keep growing, one partner is tired and wants out. What do you do then? One partner's working really hard. The other partner decided to get married, and now they're raising a family. And I don't want to work as hard anymore. I've been working hard for 10 years. I want to enjoy my life now. No, you can't. You need to work as hard as me. Well, that sounds like a disconnect. I've been doing this for a really long time. I don't want to do this anymore. So how do you advise somebody in that situation? What I have learned is sit with each partner separately and determine what each of them really wants. And then try to help each of them to get what they really want. One may have a dream of carrying on, and one may have a dream of exiting. How do you enable one to carry on while letting the other one either exit? You can, in the US, you can get funding for that to buy your partner out, or the partner could stay in and be cheering on the other partner. And stay in meaning stay in the deal, still own the equity, but not be an employee of the company anymore, because that can get done too. So either buy them out through debt, buy them out through bringing in a partner, or not be an employee anymore and just stay in. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak over at Apple. Steve Jobs carried on as the leader of the company. Wozniak stayed on as a shareholder, wasn't an employee of the company anymore. So try to determine what each partner really wants and try to help them get what they really want without fighting with each other. Because once they begin to battle, it's just like divorces, right? It gets emotional and people aren't as willing to negotiate once it gets unfriendly.
That makes absolute sense. Because we are also very emotional as people. It's very difficult for us to make the difficult conversation also.
Yeah, for sure. And look, having been through 9 of them, sometimes it's more emotional than others. And sometimes people can be very reasonable. You brought up something. What if there's 3 partners? What if there's 4 partners? There's a family that we worked with. A family business is more complicated. And so Gen 1 is easy because you're the founder. Gen 2 would be a mother or father passing the business on to, it'd be easy if it was one son or daughter, but if it's 2 brothers, as an example, passing the business on to now a brother and a sister in one family, and maybe 4 kids in another family, maybe 3 sisters and a son. So now you got cousins all working together. So in this example, we got 6 people. Well, she might be the most talented and in one family, and in another family, he doesn't even want to work in the business. He's lazy and he's not that bright. And now you got a conflict. So, and then there's one family that we work with. It was a passing from Gen 2 to Gen 3. Wow. 23 family members in the business. 23 aunts, uncles, cousins, brothers and sisters, moms and dads. Very, very complicated. The newly appointed CEO from Gen 3 at 40 years old resigned because he didn't want to deal with all the drama. And then what happened with this company was they began selling off assets. It was a very successful family business. But the mistake was made generations earlier where it wasn't set up for future succession in the best way. So it was messy.
Very important topic because here in Greece we have so many family businesses. So we know about this problem and it's very complicated to solve it. So what do you think is the main difference between Europe? Because I think in general in Europe we have so many family businesses, and the US in general about entrepreneurship and the growth, because we saw that the US have a bigger growth than the Europe.
Yeah, it's a great question, and you're right. There's a lot of family businesses in Europe, and I would say that Europeans are generally more conservative than Americans. The word go big in Europe would be different than go big in the US. Think about some of the industries that are created by entrepreneurs in the US, like Facebook and Uber, Airbnb, Microsoft, Apple, Google. These are incredible businesses that get started in Gen 1. Right, and there are a lot of family businesses in the U.S. as well. Yet it's Europeans are often more conservative than Americans.
So do you have a different approach in your coaching process between U.S. CEOs and European CEOs?
Well, our process is the same in that the first thing we do with a new company that we work with is we determine what it is that they really want. And our job as their coach is to help them achieve what they really want. So people are different. And you could be in the same city, in the same country, and in the same business, and two CEOs will be very, very different on what they really want. Some may say, I want to grow at a steady 8 or 10% a year for the next 20 years. Others might say, I want to grow at 40 or 50% over the years. I want to take on a lot of debt and grow by acquisition. Well, which one's right?
There's no right or wrong.
There is no right or wrong. It's whatever's right for that CEO. Now, the risk tolerance of one CEO in that example is a lot greater than the other. So no right, it's what's right for them.
So about a CEO, a Greek CEO here in Greece that wants to be a part of the educational process of CEO Coaching International, how can he do that?
Yeah, they could reach out to us and share with us what their dream is, what they're hoping to achieve, share what their biggest challenges are, tell us what they're looking for in a coach to help them with. And what we do then is we take those set of issues and then pair them with the coach that can help them achieve that. For example, we have several European coaches, and that it depends on what problem you're trying to solve. Do you want to grow outside of Greece? Do you want to enter the Chinese market, or do you want to enter the US market? What is it that you're trying to achieve? And then we'll pair that CEO or entrepreneur with a coach that can help them achieve that based on the experience they have either in that industry or with that issue or set of issues.
Do you know an example from Greece, a CEO or entrepreneur that is very successful in CEO Coaching International?
I do. Tassos Splendidis has been a very successful client of ours. He's got a big vision. He thinks very big, probably bigger than many think here in Greece. And he aspires to continue growing his business and building a world-class firm globally.
And we need to thank him for connecting us because we really enjoy this episode. It's very special for us.
Yes, and of course we are very glad because Mr. Tassos Panidis was a guest in the previous season of the podcast. So it's very, very nice that we had Tassos and now we have you.
Well, terrific. It's been my pleasure being with you guys. You ask good questions.
Thank you.
And I look forward to being with you maybe again next time I visit.
Thank you.
It will be a pleasure for us.
We really appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So this was the episode for today. If you like this episode, put the thumb up in the YouTube, and also we will have the link for the CEO Coaching International in the description. Till the next episode, I hope you will be great and follow your dreams.